We ready?
Okay. We're here with Mikki Leach, right?
Yes.
First Director of Mergers and Acquisition at RTI International. So Mikki, first thing I thought about when I heard that RTI will now have somebody in charge of mergers and acquisition was, this is a research institute.
Right.
Why do they need something as corporate and for-profit and business sounding as mergers and acquisitions director?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, really, when RTI started looking at its corporate strategy and where we wanted to go and our ability to strengthen our core business and develop into new market opportunities, mergers and acquisitions is a critical component of that for any company that wants to grow. And in order to make sure that we were doing it in a thoughtful and methodical way and making sure that we were acquiring the right targets for RTI strategically and culturally, we felt that a corporate group would help us to do that, to help us think through it in a thoughtful way, a methodical way, and a consistent way as we work with our business leaders to make sure that we're helping them to support their growth objectives.
Are there particular areas in RTI that you're looking at? Are you looking at tech? Are you looking at life science? Are you looking at green technology?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're actually looking at multiple areas. RTI is very diverse as a research institute and organization. And so we work with each of our business leaders, and in all facets, our business leaders are looking at growth and what their initial initiatives are and where they're looking to specific functions to grow in. And as we look through that, we're actually working with all of those functions. So we have many areas that we're going to be looking at. What we're going to be doing is aligning our strategy with the corporate strategy to be sure that the mergers and acquisitions targets that we're looking at fit into those, and that's what's really important to us as we go forward.
Give me an example of what would fit.
What we'll be looking at is a few different components of what would fit. So first and foremost, it would be important that it fits strategically. So if we have a particular function within RTI, our education or our health, or various components of a research unit that we're looking at, does it fit strategically? Does it help to strengthen their core business, or does it help them get into a market that they've been trying to get into, and this might be the best avenue to do so? It may also be geographic, that we may be looking at a new geographic area, and this may be the way for RTI to develop its business in that function. So that's one of the key things that we'll be looking at. And then the other component of fit is cultural fit. RTI's mission is being very people-oriented and being a research organization, as you mentioned. It'll be very important that we have that cultural fit with the target so that in the long term those employees will feel successful at RTI and our business units will feel that they can achieve the growth that they've been looking for.
Give me a hypothetical how this would work. Are you looking for a technology? Are you looking for revenue?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for a particular skill set of a labor force in a company, in a research group? What are you looking for?
It actually could be any of those items. So we may find in certain disciplines that we may be looking for a certain core competency that helps, is adjacent to something that we have here at RTI. So we may be looking for that skill set. In other situations, we may be looking to grow an existing business line. We want to grow through both revenue as well as our bottom line through various types of synergies or cost savings that we might be able to achieve. And then thirdly, as I mentioned, you could have geographic markets, or you could have strategic partnerships that could come out of this as well. So as you're looking at where you want to grow, we'll be looking at what targets, who plays in that particular space, what their strengths are, and how do those fit with RTI before we would even move down a path of actually contacting a company.
Are you and can you go beyond the U.S.?
We do currently, yes. We have an international development group that does business with USAID internationally, and we also have another particular business unit in our health solutions group that works internationally. So that is an area which we'll be looking at as well.
Why did you want that job?
That's a very good question. It's actually a very unique opportunity, I think. To have the opportunity to serve in that capacity is always an interesting component because you get to really understand the corporate strategy of the company. But then here at RTI, something that's very unique about it and appealing to me is that, as I mentioned, RTI is so diverse, and we work in so many different components of research and in disciplines. And so to have an opportunity to work closely with the business leaders and really understand the operations of the business while serving in a corporate role is a very unique opportunity that I'm really excited about.
You've been at RTI 2 years now?
3 years in
3 years?
January, yes.
And how do you hope to interact with more people, a lot of people who don't know you yet?
Yeah, it's actually going to be one of the unique and kind of, I think, fun aspects of this position is I will have an opportunity to work with a lot of new business leaders and their support groups. And then also it'll be important for me to work with our corporate support groups as well. So we'll have developing a cross-functional team that we'll be leading to kind of work through this process and the phase. And then it'll be a lot of individual meetings and supporting our executives in strategy implementation, things like that along the way.
You came here from Progress Energy, right?
I actually was at Progress Energy for quite some time, and then I went to Waste Industries for a couple of years before coming here to RTI.
So how do you think doing mergers and acquisition for a nonprofit research organization is different from doing mergers and acquisitions for a corporate business, for a for-profit business? The priorities are a little different, right?
Yeah, I think some aspects of it will be very similar. When we will be, if we're identifying a target or working through an evaluation phase, we will very well be at the table with for-profit companies. So it's important that we be very nimble, I think, and efficient in our process. So I think some of it's very similar when we're evaluating a company. But when it comes down to aligning it with RTI strategic interests and our culture, some of those things I think will be very, very important. They're always important, but I think our culture being research-oriented and very entrepreneurial in nature will play aspects into those decisions that may ultimately impact that slightly. But a lot of the process and the evaluation will be very similar.
Where do you think you'll be in 5 years with the role, with your new role, or where do you think mergers and acquisitions will be within RTI in 5 years?
That's a good question. I think it's going to become increasingly more important as we focus on our growth and kind of directed growth as to where we really want that to be to strengthen our core business. I think it'll become a more important role, and I hope that in 5 years what we'll be faced with is some well-defined processes, and a thoughtful way of going about this, where as we really think through our targets, we're making very good decisions. And when we look back at the mergers we've had today, we feel very positive about that. We've had, since 1999, RTI has acquired 3 companies and several small consulting firms. And when we look back at that, I think we feel very positively about that. And I hope in 5 years, as we continue to focus on this strategy and do more significant transactions in both volume and dollars, we look back and we can see the value that we've generated, and we can see the employees being integrated into RTI, and culturally having a nice fit and being successful.
Okay, thank you.